Good evening, and we welcome you to the first edition of BDTV's Fantasy Football Friday Playoff Edition as we look forward to this year's playoffs and Week 1 and what could be a wild ride over this next week and the next few weeks in these playoffs. I'm your host, The Commish, and I've got my field reporters out there ready to give us a preview of the first 4 games in this Week 1 matchup. They're out there so that they can keep you up to date. We're going to start with Waiver Wire Willie, who kicks us off with the 5-4 matchup. Willie, can you hear me?
Thanks, Commish. I'm here with Shroot Farms JV Football and Aim for the Bushes, the 5 and the 4 seed this year in the playoffs. Shroot Farms coming in on a 3-game winning streak, while Aim for the Bushes coming in on a 3-game losing streak. Now, it should be a good matchup for this weekend. Now, when I spoke to Shroot Farms JV Football, they said they were a little discouraged that Lamar Jackson was still injured, so they were going to have to go to the reserve tank. But they said, in Kirk, we trust. They're going to go with Kirk Cousins in the QB role, and they're going to be hopeful for a great outing in Indianapolis this weekend, as Kirk is going to look to throw lots of balls to Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, anybody who's playing really, and hope to really raise those points up. I did get to talk to him a little bit last night after the Thursday night football game. In the locker room, the manager said that, they're high in their spirits. They said it was a great performance from Christian McCaffrey and the San Francisco defense. Got the crew ready to roll, got that team off to a good start. So they're looking really hopeful coming into this weekend. Now, when I did talk to Aim for the Bushes, he said his main point to his team was defense, defense, defense. All year they've been preaching it, but they've had struggles. They're averaging 112 points a game. They're giving up 112 points a game. He said, I told my team, it's defense wins championships, and it's now or never. They got a lot of firepower on offense. They got Eckler, Barkley, Diggs, and even Patty Mahomes. He said, we went after him early this year in the draft, and it paid off for us again. And so we really like having all those guys on the team, but it's not going to amount to anything if they can't stop anybody. One change to note for the Aim for the Bushes, they said after going with Gesicki all year at tight end, they decided to make a last-minute change and go with the versatile Taysom Hill at tight end in hopes that it'll work out for his team and propel him to a win and be able to move on in that playoffs and hopefully get that first playoff championship run. Back to you, Commish.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off for him. We appreciate it, Willie. All right, now to give us our next update on the 2-7 matchup, we're going to kick it over to Hingle McCringleberry. Hingle, can you hear me?
Thanks, Commish. That's right. I'm here with Stop the Steelers and the Delphi Rabbit Mongeese. Is the 7-2 seed this year. Now the Stop the Steelers coming in with a 4-10 record, losers of 5 in a row. A team bitten by the injury bug this year. Coming in on a 5-game losing streak. They're going to be looking for a little bit of that playoff magic that they've had in the past where maybe they don't have the best record coming in the playoffs, but they always finish well. Somehow they find it in them to push through the playoffs, and they're going to be hoping for some of that magic this year. A lot of us have been wondering, no Matt Stafford, no Phillip Rivers. Is that the problem with the Stop the Steelers this year? Not having that core person that you can really rely on for that 180 yards and 1 touchdown a game. Maybe that's part of the issue, but we're not sure. So instead, they're going to be looking to 87-year-old Tom Brady at the helm for his team. Now, that should be a good play, but we don't know. We'll have to wait and see if he can get out of his rocker to play, and if they have enough Microsoft Surfaces so that he can even see the plays. One thing we do know and that we've been watching is wide receiver T. Higgins was questionable this week. He was questionable last week too, but this ended up playing. Unfortunately, it was 1 snap and 0 points, so we'll be watching that very closely this week as it unfolds. Now, the Delphi Rabbit Mongeese is also coming in on a 1-loss streak with a record of 10-4. I spoke to the manager who confirmed that they've got a couple of running backs who are injured or questionable going into the weekend, but he did not show any concerns about the running back position, saying that he has many running backs waiting in the wings, ready to come in and put some production on the team. They had a couple of people who've been waiting to get in all year, and so they're excited. He's not worried, and he said he can swap him if he needs to. And they will be relying heavily on Josh Allen and company heading into the Saturday game with the Dolphins in Buffalo, which looks to be a shootout, high-scoring game, so lots of points there. It's gonna be a good one. And additionally, the league's second leading rusher, Derrick Henry, has a favorable matchup against the Chargers defense, giving up more than 5.5 yards per carry. Look for big numbers from him this weekend. A great matchup again with the number 2 Delphi Rabbit Mongeese and number 7 Stop the Steelers. More to come from that later. Back to you.
Absolutely. And one thing to note on the tail end of that preview, with his 10 wins this year, the Delphi manager for the Delphi Rabbit Mongooses now moves into first place all time with the most wins over the seasons with 90. So congratulations to him on getting into that first place. And yes, now we have, let me make sure I have this right. Yes, we've got Bugs Bunny to give us a preview of the 3-6 matchup this weekend. We're looking forward to that one. Bugs, are you out there?
Oh, what's up, Doc? Yeah, I'm here reporting on the 6-3 matchup this weekend. The Team Big Hands Rocket Arm and Triple Team. Both teams coming in on a win streak. The only matchup that's like that this week in Week 1. Team Big Hand Rocket Arm coming in on a win streak at a record of 6-8. He'll be the 6th seed this week. Manager did mention he's looking at leaving his mid-season trade target, DeAndre Hopkins, on the bench, who has scored at least 9 fantasy points in every game but one in his shortened season. He fears that Colt McCoy could limit DeAndre Hopkins' output, and so he's decided to leave him on the bench. Riding that 4-game win streak, and with multiple players having a favorable matchup coming up this week, his QB plays the 31st ranked defense, his defense plays the 32nd ranked defense. Running backs against the 24th and 29th, respectively. There's lots of opportunities here for Team Big Hand Rocket Arms, who, please change your name, could look to pull the upset and move on to the second round. Now, when I spoke to Triple Team, coming in at 9-5 on a 1-game win streak, he said he feels good about his team. He has 7 of the 10 top-ranked players. Well, not top-ranked, but with 7 top 10 ranked players, in the top 10. He said, my guys just need to perform. It could be a tough outing, though, as not any of his players have a positive matchup, all ranking below that 15 mark, which could spell trouble for the 3 seed. He did mention that he plans to roll the dice with his QB Justin Fields as opposed to Joey B in hopes that his ground game will earn him a few extra points. And I did confirm that right now the team is looking at going with Zonovan Knight in their flex position instead of their typical Chris Olave or Christian Kirk, as they've done so throughout the year. They're going to ride that Jets running back game while it's hot. This matchup could be very close until the very end, with a potential game-on-the-line situation riding on the shoulders of Triple Team's most recent trade target, Scary Terry, and the Commanders in the Sunday Night Football game. Lots to look at here. We'll be back with more later on this one. Back to you, Commish.
Indeed, that could be a close one to the very end. What we definitely want to keep an eye on this weekend. Thanks, Bugs. And finally, to give us our quick look into the 1-8 matchup this weekend, we have our very own Deep Panda out there at Stadium 69. He's been getting the business from both teams, and he's here to report for us. Deep Panda, can you hear me?
That's right, Commish. I am Deep Panda here at Stadium 69, where we've been getting the business from both teams on this one. I'm here to preview the number 8 seed Gridiron Legacy and the 1 seed Andrew Luck's Retirement Fund. Now, when I spoke to the Gridiron Legacy, he comes in on a 10-game losing streak. One team who probably would like to forget this whole year, not just counting fantasy football, but even outside of fantasy football, would just like to start this year over. And who could blame him? And it kind of makes us wonder, though, if he should have just sold that Uncle Rico jersey, since he's lost 10 games in a row since purchasing it. I did speak to the manager, who said his guys' spirits were high leading into this weekend, and said he had a walkthrough. Gave him a kind of a pregame speech about, UMBC beat Virginia as 16 seed, beat a 1 seed, and said, why couldn't we do the same as an 8 seed? The guys were fired up, so he's excited. He's definitely got all the pieces to pull it off, but acknowledged it would be an uphill battle. He'll be looking for big things from Tua, playing in what could be a shootout in Buffalo on Saturday night, and last year's rushing champ JT, who gets a favorable Minnesota defense. Additionally, Keenan Allen could post huge numbers this weekend with multiple players out on that Chargers offensive side as they welcome the 32nd ranked pass defense of Tennessee. Now, on the flip side, Andrew Luck's Retirement Fund comes in with the nation's longest winning streak at a winning streak of 7 games. Last year's defending champion seems to have figured some things out, coming in this year cleaning house to the tune of an 11-3 record, riding that nation's biggest winning streak of 7. He'll be looking for big things from his wide receiver core of Adams and Hill, number 2 and number 3, and with Jalen Hurts at the core of that never hurts. He'll be looking for Dalvin Cook to cook up some of his magic against Indy on Saturday. The locker room was pretty excited welcoming Kittle in last night after the Thursday Night Football game and getting his team kicked off well with a weekend, posting his best fantasy production week all year long. So good matchup coming up in the 1 and 8, and we'll have more to come on that one later on. Back to you, Commish.
That's Deep Panda with our 1-8 matchup preview. We're looking forward to a great slate of games this weekend, and now you've heard from each of the teams on what we can expect, and it should be a great couple days of Week 1 in fantasy football playoffs. From all of us here at BDTV, we thank you for watching and hope you'll join us next week for Week 2 of Fantasy Football Friday Playoff Edition. I don't care where you go, but you can't stay here. Good night, America.